fuckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my YouTube channel and on my video today. I really appreciate you being here. And we are finally going to be talking about the mess that has been very quickly, I want to say unfolding, but I want to say unraveling, because I feel like unraveling is like an even quicker unfolding, because that has been what this has seemingly been with Morphe. Now, we all know Morphe, like, especially if you're watching this video and you watch my videos and all these influencers and stuff, you know who Morphe is. Like, I really don't need to describe Morphe more than they really were the first, or one of the first, makeup brands to really profit off of the idea of the influencer. And, you know, a huge portion of their sales, if not most, was built up because people associated, you know, their stuff with Jaclyn Hill, Jeffree Star, at a time James Charles, and Shane Dawson. Like, all of these key players were a huge factor in Morphe's success, and they really utilized use code James, use code Jeffree, use code Shane, you know, all these different things, right? That really were the foundation of them succeeding well, not only online, but in person. And from what I've just been seeing online recently, it has just been a very, 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 from 0 to 100 decline of Morphe. Now, it would be wrong for me to sit down here and say, oh, this is such a surprise, you know, like Morphe suddenly fell off, because that is not the case. And Morphe in 2020, which was 3 years ago, made a really strong decision, which was, in my opinion, the correct decision to do morally, which was dropping Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson and James Charles. And they basically did this for a multitude of reasons, basically just that they had media backlash, because they had no problem signing them, let's be real here. But this kind of led that Morphe had no real direction anymore, because those people with Jaclyn Hill were really the reason people remembered Morphe, the reason people went to buy from Morphe, because they saw Jeffree Star doing a review of it, or James Charles doing a review of it, or maybe just literal discount codes that, you know, these influencers were getting. So whenever Morphe took away the one thing that kind of made them stand out against the rest of the competition, they have nothing. And so I always knew that Morphe were going to decline. Everyone knew that Morphe was going to decline, and it was only a matter of time. And it's seemingly gone awfully, where they have closed down all of their stores without letting their employees know, and their employees one day show up for their work task, and their task is basically getting all the inventory backed up and, you know, all in boxes and stuff. And that was their way of finding out that basically the company was shutting down all the jobs for them, as well as the stores. And so the way it was handled has been absolutely awful. And there are two articles that I want to get to here. Number one that focuses on Morphe closing all of their US stores, and then the other one about Morphe, you know, and their parent company filing for basically Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, Forma Brands is like a subgenre of Morphe, which basically house all of these different makeup brands as well, like Ariana Grande's R.E.M. Beauty, and all of these new, you know, things, a Bad Habit as well with Emma Chamberlain. And all of these efforts from these big celebrities were not able to save the overall company of Forma and Morphe the way these influencers did. So it was the correct decision morally to drop all these influencers, but business-wise, they built their brand off these people, so without them, they're nothing. And we're going to get to absolutely everything here. Now, one thing I do want to say is I have been so irritated by seeing so much news coverage, YouTube videos, Twitter threads, all like these, from people talking about the downfall of Morphe and being like, oh, well, Morphe, you know, wasn't really that liked in the first place. Or, you know, Morphe really didn't have that big of an impact, or their products weren't even that good. We don't need to rewrite history here. I don't think from my memory ever tried Morphe products. I mean, you can correct me if oh, no, that is wrong. I tried the Abby Roberts palette, which was fine. I mean, I hadn't tried any other palettes. But for people to now kind of rewrite history and be like, well, nobody liked Morphe anyway. And like, people within the YouTube influencer space is so bizarre to me, because it was these people that loved Morphe and hyped up all these brands as well. And Morphe was known for having, you know, good quality stuff, and that was always the case, and always their good brushes and always the good palettes. I never really tried them, but I just, you know, heard it from the influencers and heard it from the drama channels, who were also allegedly, you know, involved in it. I heard it from the Twitter people, the TikTok people, all these people. So for people now to be like, oh, well, no one actually really used Morphe anyway. No one actually liked their products. I'm like, y'all are just rewriting history now, because I have no affiliation with this company whatsoever, but I remember y'all for years loving Morphe. So listen, that's just something I want to know. Anyway, we're going to get to this first news article from Digital Commerce 360. So it goes, cosmetics brand Morphe closes their US stores to focus on e-sales and online sales, which from my thing is, I think Morphe are going to do okay with online sales for a bit, but also one thing I do want to say is I never understood the purpose of Morphe stores. And I tweeted about this the last day, and I was like, I never really understood how Morphe was even successful in the first place, other than influencers, you know, showing up and doing like product launches and stuff. Because whenever I went to America, so we don't have like, you know, Morphe stores or Sephora's or anything like that, Ulta's over here. But whenever I went to America, you know, they had Sephora's, they had Ulta's, and I was seeing Morphe products in, I think, like Ulta or one of them. Anyway, they're all going into the same for me anyway. So I was like, what's the point of going to a Morphe store if you can just get Morphe products in other stores for a cheaper cost? So I never really understood that. So if someone could really answer that for me, let me know. Morphe are closing their US physical stores to focus on e-sales and wholesale after a string of controversies. Morphe Makeup, which reached a social media-fueled $2 billion, value, said it plans to close its US stores. On Thursday, the company listed about 20 locations on its website. Forma Brands, Morphe's parent, said in a statement that it's shutting down its physical stores to focus on online and wholesale. Partnerships with powerhouse internet celebrities such as Jeffree Star and James Charles helped revenue top $400 million in 2019, according to a company presentation from December 2021 reviewed by Bloomberg. But Morphe severed ties with them after Star was accused of using racist language in 2020 and allegations of misconduct, to put it lightly, with James Charles in 2021. So basically everyone they put all of their money on were awful people. But they knew that when signing it, so that's why I never gave Morphe any praise for dropping them. They were just doing it to save face. Revenue dropped as social media influencers lost favor with customers and consumers. So results at Forma, which generates about 80% of the sales from Morphe, have since suffered. Revenue missed, internal planning by about 20% in 2021, according to the document. In the first 10 months of that year, revenue tied to James Charles, Star, and Jaclyn Hill, another social media star, fell 66% to $32 million. So we're talking going from $400 million to $32 million. And that's paying for employees, new products, selling stuff around the world, the stores. So it's not enough. It's not enough for what they need. 32 million sounds like a lot, but whenever we're comparing it to them getting 400 million, it's, you know what I mean. Morphe, known for its accessibility priced eyeshadow palettes and, their store opens with influencers, relied on social media presence. It was a risky model, said Kelly, a cosmetics chemist who works as an industry consultant. Always been, less relevant whenever other companies were involved, because influencers really made Morphe the most relevant. So other, makeup stores kind of became less relevant because, oh, all of my favorite YouTubers or all of your favorite YouTubers, shop at Morphe. So I want to shop at Morphe too. That kind of business model. Whenever they ended their relationship with James Charles and Jeffree Star, whenever they left the company, it basically left an inventory of trouble selling products, and also all the products from these people that they insisted they weren't going to sell anymore, so they lost so much money. The company also spent heavily to launch a makeup line with pop star Ariana Grande, but sales disappointed, according to a second former employee. No shade to Ariana Grande, I've tried REM Beauty, not the eyeshadows or anything like that, but the lip balms, the lip glosses, those kind of things, the plumping glosses, all those things, I love them. They're not worth the money. Ariana Grande's brand, in my opinion, as much as I love Ariana, I love Ariana so much, the makeup brand fell flat. There's nothing that really screams wanting to buy makeup whenever I look at Ariana Grande's brand. And whenever I think of it, unless I didn't have the products myself, I wouldn't be able to visualize it. But Selena Gomez, Lady Gaga, Rihanna, I can visualize, the reason they're doing it. what their products look like, what's their message. Ariana's came too late, and Ariana says that they were, you know, working on it since 2018 before. Releasing it so late, everyone had done it, and we were over it. And it was kind of like the influx of now people being pissed off at every single celebrity having a skincare line. Kind of the format of celebrities releasing perfumes in the 2010s is like celebrities releasing makeup and skincare now. Ariana came too late. And that's not me speculating. We're literally told here that sales of Ariana Grande's makeup brand were not even enough to save the company. Morphe was founded in 2008 and based in Los Angeles, and it won fans over with cheaper options which were tied to huge fan bases from Jeffree Star and James Charles, because they both had, you know, more than 15 million followers on YouTube. Morphe ranks number 312 in the digital commerce 360 top 1,000, so pretty high. So then we have another article which is basically talking about the bankruptcy, which is the really big part here. So what is important to note is from that previous article, the employees of Morphe were let known that Morphe was closing its stores and they were out of a job. Some people on the morning that they lost their job. They went into work and they found out it was their last thing. Some employees were finding out that they had lost their job through TikTok from customers going in and being like, why are Morphe shutting down? And then employees were like, what? There was even a store manager who was like, I'm going into work in the morning and I don't know if I have my job or not because I'm seeing all these TikToks from just consumers being like, they're closing down. We haven't been told anything. So screw Morphe for not even letting their employees know. So we have, from the same Digital Commerce 360, Morphe parent company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So it goes on and says the bankruptcy caps a tumultuous 2.5 years for Morphe that failed to see revenues grow in spite of marketing deals with many YouTubers and influencers. Forma Brands LLC, so Forma's at the top, and then all the other, you know, Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, REM Beauty, you know, Morphe, they're kind of all under this umbrella. The parent company of makeup retailer Morphe LLC filed January 12th for bankruptcy in Delaware. Why is every company in Delaware? Is it like cheap as fuck or something like that? Like every single company I know is like in Delaware. Like whenever people get sued, it's like blah 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 in Delaware, blah 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 in Delaware. I assume must be cheap. With plans for lenders including Jeffree's, or it's not Jeffree Star, but it's Jeffree's Finance LLC and Cerbus Capital Management to take it over. So the California-based company listed assets and liabilities of at least $500 million each in court papers. The Chapter 11 filing allows Forma to keep operating while it seeks court approval for its reconstruction. However, the company has already said that it will now be closing all of its Morphe stores. So basically, you're out. The investor group slated to take ownership of Forma, and they have agreed to provide $33 million of fresh financing in bankruptcy, according to the statement. The proposed acquisition sets a floor of further offers, which a federal judge must approve. It includes Forma's wholesale operations, online platforms, and international Morphe retail stores. So that comes into play. Morphe is sold over here in the UK in shops like Boots, which is like our version of Ulta, Sephora, I guess. It's a lot worse, but it's there. It's fun, I guess. The bankruptcy caps a tumultuous 2 years, like previously stated, that failed to see revenues grow. Morphe's marketing strategy always relied heavily on online personalities, including James Charles, Jaclyn Hill, Jeffree Star, and Shane Dawson as of late. YouTube sensations who boasted, you know, tens of millions of followers and whose collaborations with the brand regularly sold out. Influencers are now among the company's largest unsecured creditors. So, not only, this is how bad it is for Morphe, not only did they let their employees know, allegedly, basically on the day that you've lost your job, babe, which is awful, but they apparently now owe all these influencers a ton of money. So, Jaclyn Hill and Jeffree Star are holding $2 million and $1.4 million in claims retrospectively, court papers show. The main case is FB debt financing and then the information in Delaware. So basically, if we didn't get that, Morphe are now filing for bankruptcy, all of their stores are closing down, they're basically just going to become like a wholesale And they owe Jaclyn Hill and Jeffree Star, who are holding $2 million and $1.4 million in claims. Now, that can be for a multitude of things. That can be for products that were not sold, deals not fulfilled, Jeffree being dropped. You know, Jaclyn really was not dropped. We're not even comparing Jaclyn and Jeffree in this because Jeffree was flat out, one day, you're gone. So, the fact that they have $2 million and $1.4 million in claims against Morphe is like, Morphe now have to fight with Forma Brands, like Forma, to figure out what is going to be happening with all of their stock, what's going to be happening with the future of Morphe. They're getting invested in money, their shops are closing, but they're getting some sort of investment, and they owe so much money, and they also owe so much money to the influencers. And I saw a lot of people being like, oh my god, I can't believe this. My attitude was, of course they owe money to Jaclyn Hill and Jeffree Star and probably James Charles. Or if they don't, you know, these people can sue for money because Morphe is Jaclyn Hill. Morphe is James Charles. Morphe is Jeffree Star. And, not to sound ridiculous, Morphe is Shane Dawson. Morphe is nothing without these key players. How many videos did you click on where Morphe was sponsored, and if it wasn't, then it was like a shady kind of, use my code, but this video isn't sponsored. Morphe was directly funded by all of these influencers, which is a very, very, very unstable, clearly, business model. Whereas all of these other companies never relied on influencers. But Morphe did, which worked tremendously for many years. But the influencer market, as we know it with these specific players, is not the same anymore. We are aware whenever things need to be said as ad. We are aware whenever people are being paid for things. We are aware whenever people genuinely love products. So this format of trying to get your audience to just specifically buy from Morphe really wouldn't even work if these people weren't even cancelled anymore. Because, first of all, people are not buying makeup at the magnitude as what they once were. It was wasteful that there were palettes left, right, and center all the time. But also, we really don't care about these people's opinions anymore, and we kind of really are able to form our own opinions on whether we want a makeup brand or not. So, Morphe, this is a mess that you got yourself in. And I have no remorse for you because you didn't have any remorse for your employees. Good luck, Morphe! Woo! You'll need it.